art finds a way to take care of you and to take part, kind of despite itself. And that's one of the cool things about Cale is Cale writes about the miracle of that all the odds are stacked against the profundity, the writing about the Hollywood system and stuff, and like crabgrass, or like Jeff Goldblum says in Jurassic Park, life finds a way. That like the cool stuff and the magic stuff comes out all the time. The trick, if there's one thing that the serious art can do is that it can try to put you in places where you're more alive to hearing that. That it can seduce you into paying attention to stuff in a way that's hard to pay attention to.
So I just learned the screenwriting term lamp shading, which is a technique where you bring attention to a problem in your script, like the plot doesn't quite make sense, or a character's motivations have become unclear. One of your characters speaks this issue aloud, and you have thus gotten around having to actually address the problem. For a recent example of lamp shading, I would see, every other line of dialogue in Batman vs. Superman. But, it occurs to me that lamp shading is something that we do in everyday life as well. Pointing out an issue and not really resolving it is what we do with virtually all of our hot-button issues. Abortion, racism, gun control. But I actually don't think that's so bad. We're keeping the ball in the air, and all of us always have our eye on it. I would much rather live in a country where all of our skeletons are out of the closet and on the floor, and everybody is always standing around talking about the skeletons all the fucking time, than to live somewhere where most of it's kept quiet, sort of simmering under the surface. Say what you will about the US of A, but we have been boiling over for 250 years now. And sure, being reminded of their own bigotry, being lampshaded by the national dialogue constantly, it irritates some people, and it creates opportunities for big, dumb, angry human earplugs like Donald Trump. But all we really ever gave him was an opportunity to fall on his ass. I mean, not that any of us should relax for even 1 second between now and November. After November, actually, we gotta make sure that that sword goes in so deep and by so many percentage points that afterwards Donald Trump just walks into the ocean, all the while talking about what a nice dry piece of land it is.
Although I didn't mention, I prayed for you that day. You left Glasgow and your shadow sailed back to the bay.
I definitely wanted to talk to you about bad movies because I just watched Fantastic Four, the new Fantastic Four.
Oh, okay.
Have you seen that movie?
Yeah. I
watched
it.
I continue to be upset at the idea that bad movies exist at all. But I could not believe it. I couldn't believe that movie. This must be far more irritating to you now that you're even closer to this world. And I guess Hollywood is a meritocracy, right? Because we will probably never hear from Josh Trank ever again. So, at least we can take some comfort in that. Even without an outline, even if you are just going with your internalized gut, even if you are not regurgitate, even if you haven't blended it up very well, even if you're just taking elements of culture and spitting it back out undigested onto the page, I don't understand how you make something that bad. There was every possible thing was fucked up. They screwed up every possible element. I thought even a couple of images that were slightly even compelling were something from a Nine Inch Nails video in the 90s.
See that, the whole thing with that film, for me, is that I thought for about 3/4 of an hour, I thought it was alright. Mm-hmm. I was like, yeah, it's fine.
But you didn't realize it had actually been an hour and the movie was over. And you were like, oh.
But that's the thing, it's you're watching it, and I think it wasn't blowing my mind or anything, but I was alright with it. And then the speed that it goes off the rails is unprecedented because it is like it felt like that one scene where they got pissed, drunk, and then he calls up the Thing. What's his Ben? Calls up Ben Grimm and says, "Come on, mate, we're going to another dimension." And he like comes along, and it's like, "What? Okay." And then the accident was like a mess, and then it jumped ahead. Like,
yes, it jumps ahead a year, and then like just runs full speed at the final blurry 30-second confrontation with Doctor Doom. Movie over. Well, no, actually, not movie over. Remember, because after that, then the Fantastic Four go to their new home base, which is it's already so set up and perfect that someone had to be like, this was already set up and perfect. That's why it's like this.
We just had it
characters out loud
around.
expressing disbelief that this could have happened so quickly. They're like, we were doing this for other superheroes before, but now it can be for you. Like it was somebody's weird joke about some kind of, like the fact that they had to make that movie that year, or they were going to
keep the rights. Yeah. Which is exactly what happened with the Roger Corman one in the 90s, wasn't it? Or something that wasn't that made just as like a tax dodge or something. They made a whole film just to like kind of write off some money or something.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's part of the proud tradition of superhero movies. Done for some weird, shady financial reason. But the absolute worst moment in that movie is when they're the joke at the end. That's like a slow, like a fist just coming towards your crotch in slow motion, and you just can't. You can't get out of the way. You just have to stand there and be hit by it. When they're like,
it's like the laser beam in Goldfinger, but just like a fist.
Yes. And they're like, what do you think we should call ourselves? The Cool Four? Hey, this room's nice, isn't it? Hey, I'd say it's fantastic. What'd you say? I said it's fantastic. Oh, hey guys, you know what? You know what I just thought of? Hey, wait for it. And then, like, too long of a pause before it cuts to black and says Fantastic Four. Like, there was almost enough time for Miles Teller to, like, kind of shrug out of character and start to walk off the frame. Yeah. And then it's like, Fantastic Four, and you're just like, oh, my God. That movie hurt my feelings.
Yeah, and like you say, I think that, now that I'm sort of in the position of trying to get things made and trying to get things financed and all that bollocks, and sort of having a little taste of what it's like in that world, when you see something like that and it's so blatantly just been pushed through on the strength of the name, the intellectual property,
and the legal necessity.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah, it's a fucking bureaucratic move. Just put on screen. And it amazes me because, like, even if you were in that situation, surely you would think, well, let's try and make a good film. I mean, nobody sets out to make a shit film. They always say that. But you watch a film like that and, it casts a bit of doubt on that statement. I think it's like, did they... And I think that superhero movies often end up like that. Like, I think Spider-Man 3, I wouldn't be surprised if Sam Raimi deliberately made that film shit because of studio interference. That, like, you look at the things like the black suit and the way that it makes Peter Parker behave is so stupid and so ridiculous that it can't... It's a joke. It's like it's taking the piss. And I do think that occasionally... people do set out to make bad films when they're being pressured into it by some sort of bizarre system.
I feel like this studio pressure that seems to like break or come close to breaking people so often. I can't imagine what it is or how it could possibly be so bad. Like, I know I'm in a privileged position of being like, oh, come on, just make the movie, you baby. But like. But, I mean, you would assume that if anybody could handle it at this point, it was Joss Whedon. And he very nearly, after Avengers 2, very nearly said some Josh Trank level shit after the fact, And, like, it seems like now the only reason that the Marvel movies are going to be okay is because they have the Russo brothers, and there's two of them, so they can shoulder the weight together.
There's not one man just going insane.
Mm-hmm. Or like, because the Russo brothers worked on like Community and Arrested Development and stuff, they've been slowly, it's like the people who get bitten by snakes long enough that they become immune to poison, they've been getting themselves ready for this. This is what they're ready for, is this kind of studio interference, and that's how they manage to keep doing a good job. But I don't know. I want to sit in the movie theater next to Joss Whedon and Josh Trank and watch Captain America Civil War and just hear them both be like, what the fuck?
I feel like the Trump crowd is a lot like the nostalgia crowd. I guess it's Make America Great Again. It's like the good old days, whatever. But it's like, I think that you can kind of mirror that to like Ghostbusters in a way. The founding fathers are the Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
And the liberal media wants to replace them with, just different genders and ethnicities, and they're ruining what our founding fathers started, which is just being a group of white guys, Oh, I guess not all white guys. They have, what's his name on the Ghostbusters as well, but...
Oh, I thought you were about to name a black founding father and blow my mind. You're gonna be like, well, then of course there was Patrick Henry Johnson, and I'd be like, wait, what? Yeah, just under John Hancock's signature.
I like to imagine that Hamilton is historically accurate.
That's what was throwing you off. You were like, well, then there was Alexander Hamilton.
No.
I still haven't gotten into the Hamilton. I still haven't listened to it or anything.
Wow. What did it for me is I didn't think I would be able to just sit and listen to an entire audio of a play, but I went back home to Texas, and there was a pile of wood that I wanted to chop into smaller pieces. You know all about chopping wood.
Oh, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So I put the earbuds in, and it was me chopping wood for about 3 hours, and then basically crying as I chopped wood for the last 30 minutes. I wish somebody was there to see it, but it would work as a great Bumble or Tinder profile picture.
I was gonna say it would make a great silent film. You don't get to hear the music, but you know what you're listening to. So real Hamilton heads can kind of they can trace it, So they're like, all right, here come the waterworks.
And then from then on, I was just hooked. What has made you not want to listen to it? Just everybody talking about it?
No, the knowledge that I will be hooked. The knowledge that I will be hooked, and then I won't be able to do anything about it. I can't go see Hamilton. I guess I could, but I probably won't. I'm going to prioritize other things over that for the entirety of the time that it is a play that is playing anywhere outside of high school.
Well, the good news is PBS filmed it, right? And they're going to release it at some point.
Oh man, they're gonna Disney Vault that shit for so long though.
It's
They're
true.
They're gonna wait until the pledge drive scene gets really bad.
This also brings me to a similar thing. Is Harry Potter? Are you going to read that play?
I just started it.
Really?
Yeah, I did.
How far did you get it?
I'm 50 pages in.
It's a tricky balance between nostalgia and something good, because it's definitely readable. I read it in a day, and I read slower than anybody. But you'll see it just takes you through everything you've seen before. I have mixed feelings on it because
I sort of got the sense that among the Harry Potter nostalgia crowd, they sort of felt like it was taking a hatchet to their beloved memories.
Really?
Yes. Maybe that was before they'd read it, though.
Yeah, well, Harry goes back in time and has sex with Voldemort, and he makes his own parents. It's
okay.
It's complicated.
Yeah, I like Harry Potter. I came into the Harry Potter world.
It's a hot take.
Yeah. I'm pro Harry Potter.
You fuck with Harry Potter.
I came to it fairly late, but I like it and everything. But I guess I don't hold it too tenderly. So I'm like, yeah, sure. Let's see this Jack Featherface or whatever the author of that play is. Let's see how he can fuck with it. I'm curious. It doesn't make Harry Potter go away.
Yeah, it doesn't, and that's the whole thing. Is that I'm not loyal to any movie or book or even music property that I don't think is able to change with time. If you want to remake Back to the Future, you want to make a lot of college kids mad and remake Fight Club, that's fine. It's whatever.
All right, but all right, tell me right now, like, what is your worst imaginable news about a Back to the Future reboot? Like, what would it be? Like, Josh Trank is gonna direct, and Kevin James is gonna play Doc Brown,
Look, I'm at the box office right now buying my ticket.
I'm trying to imagine, like, I don't know a lot of younger actors, so I'm having a hard time. Like Manny from Modern Family is gonna play Michael J. Fox part. That would, okay. Now I've accidentally pitched this into greatness.
And he just goes back like to the Nickelodeon 90s, I guess, right?
Yeah, he goes back to like 1999 or something, you know. But then at that point, how does it become not about Manny from Modern Family going back to stop 9/11?
I mean, that's
Kevin James.
That's the truth of it in everything. I think is how is it not about going back and stopping 9/11?
Also, a great Fight Club remake would be Manny and the other kid from Modern Family.
I think any remake with Manny in it, I'm on board.
There's a David Foster Wallace quote that I do not identify with at all. I see it on Tumblr a lot, and it goes something like, everything I've ever let go of has claw marks on it. And it's kind of funny that I see it on Tumblr, which is, at least in the public consciousness these days, not so much a hotbed of nostalgia, so much as a hotbed of social justice, which, at least in the 38-year-old basement dweller public consciousness, is the sworn enemy of nostalgia. In the war over Ghostbusters, Tumblr sort of had to give up nostalgia. But nostalgia had claw marks on it. Only true 90s MFA kids know what I'm talking about. But anyway, I really don't understand the valorization of a quote like that, and I'm also not even sure if David Foster Wallace really said it, but I have always tried to hold on to things very lightly. You can enjoy something, a book series, a TV series, a webcomic, without surrendering a portion of your identity to it. You can even participate in the fandom if you really want to. But those communities always seem to toxify so easily. To me, the only valid purpose of a fandom is to express to the creators of that thing how much you appreciate it. Even if, you know, writing fanfic where all the characters fuck each other is the best and most authentic way that you can express your appreciation. Anything beyond that, the things that tend to happen, the infighting, the online campaigns to steer or change the stories of shows, I've never understood that. To me, enjoying a movie or a book or even a song is only really possible when you let all of your own biases and expectations fall away. And you just let it take you wherever it wants to take you. It's about being a good listener. And when it's over, you have to let it go. The harder that you hold on to it, the more you make it about you.
But instead of just shutting up and kicking in, you gonna stand there crying that back in the day shit. Jeez. There ain't no back in the day, nigga. Ain't no nostalgia to this shit here. There's just the street and the game and what happened here today.
Do you read books anymore?
I do, and that's funny you bring that up. Just with life being crazy, I kind of fell out of reading books for a while, and I forgot that I enjoyed them. And I picked up Perks of Being a Wallflower recently. My girlfriend suggested it to me. I'd never read it. I guess I was in the wrong reading group in high school. I'm sure I read Animal Farm instead or some shit. And
yeah. And you always get screwed out of something. That's
the
how
truth.
I felt.
Yeah. It's like, man, I didn't read The Giver either. Damn it! All these good books I missed. Catcher in the Rye. I don't know. I need to.
I think I read Catcher in the Rye when I was in like the 5th grade. I went through this level, how they have those reading level things, and they tell you read at this level or that level.
The accelerated reading program, I think they called it.
Yeah. So I got given a bunch of books in like the 5th and 6th grade because somebody gave someone else the mistaken impression that I was better at reading than I was. And so I read stuff like Catcher in the Rye long before I could comprehend anything about it. So I never went back because I was like, oh, I read it.
Yep.
I remember the guy said "goddamn" a lot. That was all I really remember. I was in 5th grade.
I would imagine in 5th grade that would stick out quite harshly among the among everything else. Never read it. I don't know anything about that book, and I feel ashamed for that. But I'll get to it eventually.
I mean, J.D. Salinger, it's like he has a kind of a fun like voice for the way people talk, but it's the kind of thing where it can also be incredibly frustrating. Like he has a book called Franny and Zooey, and it's like 2 back-to-back little novellas, and I mean, I think one of them is like it's a 90-page argument about like where somebody put a razor in the bathroom or something, and it just goes on and on and on. And sometimes that kind of it's nice to just like read about 2 people talking, but other times it drives you nuts. So I don't know, but I think that reading makes me happier. Like just sitting there reading a book makes me happier than almost anything, and I like never do it. So
same, exactly the same. That's like what I was saying was like, I hadn't read for a while and I forgot that I liked it, and then I picked this book up and I read it and I'm like, oh, that was awesome. I loved reading that. I love sitting down and opening the page and looking at it, because I feel like sometimes I have hard times focusing on stuff, and man, books will do it for me. I can lose myself in it for a sec. It's nice.
It helps because it just reminds you that those people who write those articles about how the internet's making us lose our attention span and everything. I almost lost my attention span in the middle of that sentence. But the people who say that kind of thing, reading a book is nice. It reminds you that they're wrong.
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
like, no, I can still do this. I could still sit here for 2 hours. But now my problem is I need to I need a real long runway of books.
Yes.
In order to keep it going. Like the longest tear I've gone on reading since 2007 or something was like the Game of Thrones books.
Yep.
Which feels like cheating. But then I started reading like every book that George Saunders wrote. And those were all like very affecting and scary technological and like stories about people dying of Alzheimer's. Oh, so good. Yeah, but I mean, I kept that momentum going. And now I don't know. I'm looking for the next like big block of something to to burn through, because I got to do that. I got to read more. It's important for your like mental well-being, I think.
I think so too. It kind of just, I don't know. For me at least, it evens me out. I feel like after I'm done with a reading session, I'm in general a pretty high energy person. I just, I'll forget what I'm doing. I fidget a lot. I'm like 99% sure I'm undiagnosed attention deficit something. I guarantee it. And reading is like, it just puts me in a little box for a second. Like, hey, Max, chill. Read this book for 2 hours. It's nice. Did you always read, or did you? Because I kind of didn't read on purpose until I was like 18.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I kind of didn't.
No, I think I always did. I mean, I took a lot of English classes where I had to do a lot of reading, and I wouldn't do all of it. So I certainly would, There was like those big giant English textbooks with all the short stories in them. We would have to read like one of those every night, and half the time I wouldn't do it. And then we'd have to come into class and my English teacher, he would make us write a summary of what we wrote, and sometimes I would just make up something, and he knew.
Yeah.
As long as I was entertaining in the thing that I made up, he didn't really mind.
I always wondered going through school. I bullshitted so many papers that I didn't properly like research before I turned them in. But I felt like those papers, despite not having a legitimate like source, were good anyway. So I wonder if like the teachers were like, well, he didn't read it, but he bullshits well and he writes well, so I'm just gonna give it to him. I wonder if that ever happened, or if it always happened. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I gotta talk to my friends that are in education and ask.
A lot of the time when it comes to writing essays, I feel like it has a lot more to do with being able to make a compelling argument than it does with being able to show that you read and processed everything.
That's more important anyway.
Well, because a lot of people can read and recite everything that happened. Fewer people can process everything that happened in the book And then the middle ground is people who can read some of it and process that chunk very well.
Mm-hmm.
And those are the people that do the best.
Yeah, that's the truth.
That's how you get the best grades.
Yeah. That's the school system.
I remember going on a hike. We had a really intense summer reading list one time, and going on a hike with the student council at the beginning of the year. And a girl in our English class, she hadn't read one of the 5 books. And Jory and I had. And on the hike, we summarized the whole book to her.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like a week later, we had to take a test on that book, and she got a better grade than both of us.
This car's got an engine, and I work at the gas station. Oh, I don't know what went wrong, but this is a made-up Springsteen song, and Mary's out back, and she's picking flowers. And I don't know, gotta go back to work at the coal mine after I'm done at the gas station. There's cars out back at this big city bar, and everybody wants a drink, and they want to get really far away. But as for me and Mary, well, we got jobs to do down at the coal mine and the gas station, and whatever Mary does in the backyard, she's probably tailoring some suits. And in the third verse, there's a little bit of hope that comes on in. Everybody's wondering, will it come in? Well, it did. And now...
I've been trying to think about what my favorite novels are. And I can only come up with a couple. When I think about books that affected me in high school, the major one is Heart of Darkness by Joseph Conrad. It's short, and I guess technically it's a novella, but the sentences are so long it feels thicker than it is. More than anything, I think Heart of Darkness taught me for the first time that I could understand difficult writing. And then the writing that I myself did about that book in high school taught me that I was pretty good at conveying those sort of complicated concepts in simplified ways, which is basically what I do for a living now. And I remember being told, because of my essays about Heart of Darkness, that I could do that. And you know, the first time that somebody tells you can do something, tells you that you're good at it, you tend to remember. One of my favorite novels, I think, is The Corrections by Jonathan Franzen. I know he gets a bad rap, but Christy and I took turns reading that book to each other 6 or 7 years ago. And I say that I think it's one of my favorite books because I haven't reread it, and maybe the process of reading it together and talking about it was why I liked it so much. And maybe that's true about a lot of things. Like, when I think about the Harry Potter books, I think more about the rooftop in Philadelphia where I read them more than I think about the books themselves. But what I loved about The Corrections was the way that it could depict and phrase interior life. You know, there are descriptions of everyday, normal existence in there that are piercingly accurate and often really funny. People have bristled at me before saying that The Corrections is funny, but it is. Another novel that I read as an adult that I love is The Art of Fielding by Chad Harback. And again, I read this one mostly in St. Lucia, so take my appreciation with a grain of salt on top of a rum punch. The Art of Fielding is about baseball, but only the same way that Friday Night Lights is about football. It's mostly about relationships between people and failure and depression and college. And I'm noticing the books I am listing here are all written by white dudes. And I have a lot of favorite books that are by women, but women tend to break the format of a novel more than men do. So it's harder to classify them for, like, your dumb list of novels. But I have always been more partial to the format breakers. And one of the books I just thought of was Anne Carson's autobiography of Red. It's a verse novel that's loosely based on and containing, like, I think, fictitious translations of a mostly lost Greek myth. And it's energetic and queer and anachronistic and wild. But part of my fondness for it probably has to do with the fact that I read it the weekend I got married. These things are all very tied together. Today's episode of The Last Podcast featured the voices of Paul Neafcy, Jake McKay, Max Wallace, and technically David Foster Wallace, David Lipsky, and Method Man. It featured music from Beulah, David Bowie and Queen, our in-house organist Morgan Little, and the Pinch Hill Orchestra, whose new EP can be purchased at zacharylittle.bandcamp.com. $2. Proceeds go right back into making this podcast. So thank you for listening. We'll be back next week.
Zachary Little.